kept going in and out. I didn't know that until the end of the live stream when I read the comments. People said the audio was shoddy. So I actually deleted that live stream because I did replay back the audio and half the audio was going in and out. So I don't know if the audio is going to work this time. So hopefully the audio works. So I'm from Canada. I know a lot of Americans have stereotypes about Canada. They think, Canadians are nice and stupid and too trustworthy and too naive. But actually, Canada actually has a lot of high-tech weapons. Canada has a lot of advanced medical health care. Canada has but for the rich elites. If you're a rich elite in Canada, then oh my God, it's like a whole other universe. Not if you're poor like me. If you're poor like me in Canada, that's different. But if you're a rich elite in Canada, it's like from the future, like the hospitals they have in Canada for the rich elites. Elon Musk would probably go to a hospital in Canada, but a rich elite hospital, not like a poor people hospital like one I would have to go to. So I went to go find the net. I was comment in the other video. I just did audio, and then I was commenting on the Nancy Grace video. But now, since I had to go fix the audio, I wasn't able to fix the audio. I just deleted the last video, which the audio kept going in and out. It was hard to hear. And then I decided to start a new live stream. And this time I pulled up the video, the Nancy Grace video, and I'm going to actually go into it. I'm going to click into it. I'm going to show it. And I'm going to analyze Nancy Grace and her analysis of Candace Owens and the Charlie Kirk assassination. So I'll click into the video. Hopefully it's not too loud. It might not even be loud enough. So I might actually have to turn up the volume. So hold on a sec here.
Okay, who shall I believe, you or my lying eyes? All these conspiracy theories have gone wild. He's never set foot on the campus before. Okay.
Yeah, I'm going to have to put it louder. I think it is a bit low. So I'll just put it a little bit louder so you can hear.
I guess all the cameras are lying. There is a theory that all the texts were actually written by the FBI. What?
No, we have not seen an autopsy report, and that has fueled further speculation.
We are bombarded by these insane theories that the FBI secretly wrote all the texts from Robinson. They won't even leave his widow alone. This is fodder for the defense. It's complete fodder. They don't even have to come up with a trial strategy. Another conspiracy theory. And let's take a look at the source of some of the conspiracy theories.
Any person with a modicum of intelligence is going to go, I'm not going to put this down in writing with every detail. And apparently whoever offered those messages, like the feds, didn't have a modicum of intelligence. The family says that the photo of the young man that is coming up the stairs, which was shared at Blurry Image, is definitively not Tyler Robinson. When I put together what I'm being told by Lance's family and what I'm hearing from the Robinson family through a third party, I will say that it matches. It kind of seems like they're agreeing. One family's going, hey, Lance is kind of evil. Why is he getting cleared? The other one's going, Tyler's not this guy.
Okay, I really don't know where to start with that big, steaming, stinky crock of BS I just heard. That is from Candace Owens. Let's just break it down very quickly, and then maybe we can actually get to the facts, the real facts, the hard evidence about what is happening now. First of all, any person with a modicum of intelligence is going to go, I'm not going to put this all down in writing, every detail. And whoever authored those messages, like the feds, don't have a modicum of intelligence. Okay, I was a Fed for 3 years before I became a felony prosecutor in Superior Court. So as a former Fed, I don't appreciate that very much. But that's...
Okay, interesting. I didn't know that Nancy used to be a Fed, Nancy Grace. Now, I'm going to basically get in. I want to share my analysis. And of course, if you can go check out Nancy Grace yourself as well, you could watch the full Nancy Grace video. But I want to now just put in my analysis. So she goes on to say in the video, Nancy Grace goes on to say that, oh, the conspiracy theory that Candace Owens is putting out that the feds wrote the text messages, Tyler Robinson's text messages. Then they're just saying, oh, well, Candace Owens, her point was, why would someone be so stupid to incriminate themselves in text messages? right? And then Nancy Grace goes on to say, and she brings a criminal defense lawyer, and the criminal defense lawyer who's supposed to be defending her clients, she says, "Oh, I have such stupid clients, yeah, dumb criminals," and this is the criminal defense lawyer who's supposed to be defending her clients, and she's a guest on Nancy Grace, and she's telling everyone how dumb her clients are, and she's saying her clients are dumb criminals. You're a criminal defense lawyer who's supposed to be defending your clients, anyways. So my analysis of this is this very simple. This was a military level operation. So Candace Owens' point is very valid. How could you have a person who could carry out a military level intelligence operation? This is literally to be able to get on a roof, to be able to get past Charlie Kirk's security, to be able to get past the Utah University security, to be able to get on a roof is not easy. To be able to assemble a gun within seconds, allegedly according to gun experts, it's not even theoretically possible how fast the gun was disassembled, according to gun experts. I'm not a gun expert, but according to gun experts, apparently it's even theoretically impossible, given how fast they said he did it. This guy was a military level intelligence. This guy had military level intelligence. So you're going to say the same alleged person who carried out the Charlie Kirk assassination, which would had military level intelligence to be able to get on the roof, take the perfect shot, do the perfect timing, know exactly when and where, get past Charlie Kirk security. You're going to say that the same level military level intelligence operation would be stupid enough to then incriminate themselves in text messages and be like a dumb criminal and be stupid enough to incriminate themselves in text messages? Really? That the person who is smart enough to pull off a military level style assassination, military intelligence level assassination, the person who would be smart enough to pull a military level intelligence assassination, kill Charlie Kirk, get on the roof, assassinate Charlie Kirk. You're saying that the same person who had military level training, who had expert shot, was able to assassinate Charlie Kirk, hit the exact right spot, get on the roof, get off the roof. You're saying that the same person who was able to pull off a military level intelligence operation would also be stupid enough to incriminate themselves in text messages for the FBI? So Nancy Grace is like, "Oh, well, there's a lot of dumb criminals who would totally incriminate themselves in text messages." But we're not talking about a person who went to Walmart and shoved Cheetos in his jacket. I hate thieves. I hate thieves. I hate stealers. I hate thieves. I hate thugs. I hate thugs. I hate thieves. I hate stealers. I hate white collar criminals. I hate white collar criminals. I hate thieves. I hate thugs. I hate criminals. I hate criminals. I hate criminals. I hate criminals. I hate thugs. I hate thieves. I hate white collar criminals. I hate people. I hate rich elites who get away with insider trading and steal millions and steal billions. I hate government officials who embezzle the taxpayer money. I hate politicians who are frauds and they embezzle the taxpayer money, stealing millions from the taxpayers. So I hate thieves. I hate criminals. I would never defend a criminal. I defend the innocent. Of course, I would defend an innocent person who is wrongfully accused, but I would never defend a criminal. So Nancy Grace, you're saying, "Oh, criminals are dumb. Another case of a stupid criminal incriminating themselves with text messages." This isn't the same person you're accusing of carrying out a military intelligence operation who could get on a roof, get past Charlie Kirk's security, get past the Utah University security, manage to get on a roof, pull off a perfect shot, and then escape, and then disassemble a gun within record speed, get off the roof. You're saying that same person who pulled off a military level intelligence operation assassination would also be stupid enough to incriminate themselves with incriminating text messages put right in the FBI's hands? Really? Really, Nancy Grace? Come on. I know you're smarter than that, Nancy Grace. And the fact that Nancy Grace admitted that she used to be a Fed, okay, Nancy Grace, maybe people should investigate you. Maybe it's not so smart when Candace Owens is clearly showing how the American Feds are a bunch of liars. Clearly, when Candace Owens is exposing the American Feds and all the holes in the story and how they're a bunch of liars, then Nancy Grace is like, "Well, I used to be a Fed." Nancy Grace, that wasn't the smartest move. Hey, Nancy Grace, I have a degree in marketing, public relations. If you want to hire me, I'll be your public relations officer. And I don't think it's just the smartest move to be like, I used to be a Fed, like Nancy Grace, and then Nancy Grace would be like, oh yeah, dumb criminals, right? Dumb, typical dumb criminal, and that's how you can tell Nancy Grace is like, something fishy going on. Because rather than actually specifically refer to the case, and if she did specifically refer to the case, she would be like, this guy is super intelligent. No, I'm not saying Tyler Robinson is the assassin. What I'm saying is whoever is the assassin, whoever assassinated Charlie Kirk, had military level intelligence to be able to pull off a political assassination of a major political figure, to get past Charlie Kirk's security, to be able to get on the roof. It's not easy to get on the roof. To to get past Utah security, get past Charlie Kirk security, to be able to get on the roof, to be able to have they had a perfect shot to be able to disassemble the gun and then escape. That's military level training, military level intelligence. And Nancy Grace, you're saying that the same person who's super intelligent, the same assassin who's super intelligent, who had military level intelligence, military level training, you're saying that the same person who pulled off a military scale intelligence assassination against Charlie Kirk, you're saying that that same person would be stupid enough to write incriminating text messages, incriminating themselves for the FBI? Come on, Nancy Grace. Like, I even know that you're smarter than that. So either you're biased, because I don't believe you're dumb. I don't, especially since Nancy Grace. So, well, that's pretty dumb to admit that you were used to be a Fed. But Nancy Grace, I don't think you're dumb. So either you're biased, maybe you have a bone to pick with Candace Owens. Maybe Nancy Grace doesn't like that Candace Owens is a sister, if you know what I mean. Because Nancy Grace looks like the kind of person that you don't, like, she looks like the person that, like, maybe on the weekends goes to one of those, when they say Trump rallies, when you picture a Trump rally, I just picture people in white robes. When I picture a Trump rally, I just picture people in white robes. But anyways, no, I'm not saying Trump rallies are full of people like that. I'm just saying that when you picture a rally, right? When they say rally, so it would be better for them to say Trump like gathering, right? If you say Trump gathering, it doesn't sound. But I'm just saying when you say rally sounds like a Nazi rally, like I'm not. Of course, Trump doesn't have people like that. Black people love Trump. Trump donated millions to black people. Trump gave millions of jobs to black people. Trump actually loves black people more than he. Anyways, so what I'm just saying is when you hear the word rally makes it sound like Trump rally. So, but Nancy Grace, I know that you're smarter than this, Nancy Grace. You're actually trying to say, oh, well, you could totally see a dumb criminal incriminating themselves with text messages. Yeah, but we're not talking about a dumb criminal. We're talking about a military level intelligence operation where they assassinated a major political figure. So you're saying the same assassin who could pull off a military level intelligence operation, get on the roof, get past Charlie Kirk's security, get past Utah security, get on the roof, pull off a perfect shot, then escape and disassemble the gun in record time. That's intelligence. That's intelligent. That's a person who can do such a thing like that. Obviously, that's not good. That's immoral. Right? It's not mutually exclusive. It's of course it's not mutually exclusive. Not all intelligent people are psychopaths. Not all intelligent people are psychopaths. Okay, I'm intelligent. I'm a nice person. I'm a nice, intelligent person. But this person in this case, this was a military level assassination, and clearly this military. Of course, it was not right. It was wrong what they did. The assassination of Charlie Kirk was awful. It was totally wrong. It was awful, and I like Charlie Kirk. I support Charlie Kirk. I'm a conservative Canadian. Not all Canadians are liberals. Not all Canadians are liberals. I'm a conservative Canadian. I support Charlie Kirk. And so in this case, when, Nancy Grace is trying to say, oh, just another case of a dumb criminal incriminating themselves with text messages, Nancy Grace, this wasn't a dumb criminal. This was a person who pulled off a military intelligence assassination, a military level intelligence assassination. They were able to get past Charlie Kirk security, get on the roof, get past Utah security, pull off a perfect shot, disassemble the gun, and of course he also was able to plan out this whole thing. He knew when Charlie Kirk was going to be there at the event. He knew when the guards were going to be down. He knew when he was able to take the perfect shot. He knew how to get on the roof. This is military level intelligence. And you're saying that the assassin who had military level intelligence training to be able to pull off a Charlie Kirk assassination, you're saying that same assassin would then also be stupid enough to incriminate themselves with text messages and right in the FBI's hands, right in Kash Patel's hands? Then FBI Director Kash Patel puts out the story, this incredibly stupid story. Kash Patel, FBI Director, puts out this unbelievable story. Candace Owens picks apart FBI Director Kash Patel's story. And Kash Patel's like, we got the guy, we got the guy. Kash Patel, FBI Director's like, we got the guy who assassinated the white supremacist Charlie Kirk. Kash Patel, FBI Director Kash Patel, he's like, we got the guy who assassinated the white supremacist Charlie Kirk. We got the guy. It's Tyler Robinson. Tyler Robinson, he was a dumb criminal. He confessed by text messages. He must be guilty. Anyways, I know how Kash Patel talks. I know how FBI Director Kash Patel talks. He would be like, whatever. So, but you're telling me that the same person who allegedly pulled off whoever assassinated Charlie Kirk had military level intelligence training. This was a military operative. This was a military level intelligence assassination to be able to get on the roof, to be able to get past Charlie Kirk security, assemble the gun within record speed. He planned out the whole event. He knew when Charlie Kirk was going to be there. He planned when he was going to go get on the roof and when he was going to take the shot. Military level intelligence assassination plot. So you're telling me a person who could plan and execute a military level intelligence assassination would also be stupid enough to incriminate themselves in text messages and put it right in the FBI's hands, right in FBI Director Kash Patel's hands? Come on, Nancy Grace. I know you're smarter than that. In fact, you said, Nancy Grace, you used to be a Fed. And I think Candace Owens tomorrow, she writes pretty good taglines. I think Candace Owens should call out Nancy Grace for that comment and for trying to derail this whole for Nancy Grace trying to derail Candace Owens' efforts to find the real assassin of Charlie Kirk. For Nancy Grace, who admitted to formerly being a Fed. So Nancy Grace, actually, you know what, Nancy Grace, before you admitted that you were a Fed, I was gonna be like, let's give Nancy Grace the benefit of the doubt. But Nancy Grace, not only did you admit that you used to be a Fed, but you're actually making fun of Candace Owens. You laughed at Candace Owens. You insinuated that Candace Owens was a crazy conspiracy theorist, and then you're literally making the argument that the same alleged assassin who pulled off a military level intelligence operation, who was able to get on the roof, get past Charlie Kirk security, get past Utah security, take the perfect shot, disassemble and reassemble the gun disassemble the gun and get off within record speed. You're saying a same person who could pull off a military level intelligence assassination would then also be stupid enough to be a dumb criminal to just incriminate themselves in text messages for the FBI? Right in FBI Director Kash Patel's hands? Come on, Nancy Grace. I know you're smarter than that. You said you used to be a Fed. You said it right on your show. You used to be a Fed. I believe it. I believe you used to be a Fed because you are an expert liar. And I just hate to think how many innocent people you and the American Feds framed all of these years. All of these innocent people, innocent Russians, innocent Canadians, innocent Mexicans, innocent Cubans, innocent Iranians, innocent Palestinians, innocent scientists, innocent people around the world, innocent Germans, innocent people, innocent German scientists, innocent people that you, Nancy Grace, and other corrupt American Feds, all the innocent people that you framed and put away in prison for crimes committed by you, for crimes committed by the American Feds. It's clear the American feds were in on this. It's clear the American feds were behind this Charlie Kirk assassination. And then the American feds have the audacity to frame innocent people and put innocent people in prison for the crimes committed by American feds. American feds like Nancy Grace admitted she used to be an American fed. And this same Nancy Grace is picking apart Candace Owens, denigrating Candace Owens, insinuating that Candace Owens is some crazy conspiracy theorist. Nancy Grace is insinuating that Candace Owens is some crazy conspiracy theorist. And maybe, yes, maybe Nancy Grace doesn't like Candace Owens because Candace Owens is a sister. And Nancy Grace, maybe that's another reason, a motivation why Nancy Grace is going after Candace Owens so hard. Candace Owens Nancy Grace admitted she used to be a Fed. Nancy Grace is insinuating Candace Owens is some crazy conspiracy theorist. And then Nancy Grace is also trying to say that a person like Tyler Robinson, first off, I don't believe Tyler Robinson did it. I believe Tyler Robinson is being innocent. I believe Tyler Robinson is being framed. I believe Tyler Robinson, like so many other people, like so many Germans have been framed, so many Russians have been framed, so many Iranians have been framed, so many Armenians have been framed, so many Germans and Russians and French people have been framed, so many Swiss people have been framed, so many Swedish people have been framed, like so many innocent people have been framed. I believe Tyler Robinson is also being framed by the feds right now. And Nancy Grace, who admitted that she used to be a Fed herself, is now, oh, ha, ha, ha. She's laughing at Candace Owens, insinuating that Candace Owens is some crazy conspiracy theorist. And then Nancy Grace is asserting that, oh, of course a dumb criminal would incriminate themselves. Typical dumb criminal. Typical dumb criminal would incriminate themselves in text messages. But we're talking about a person, an assassin, an alleged assassin who allegedly pulled off a military-level intelligence operation assassination against Charlie Kirk. A person who could pull off a military intelligence-level operation assassination against Charlie Kirk would not be then so stupid to incriminate themselves in text messages, putting it right in the FBI hands, putting it right in FBI Director Kash Patel's hands. And then FBI Director Kash Patel's like, we got the guy, we got the shooter, we got the guy, we found him right away, we found him, the person, the assassin who assassinated Charlie Kirk, the white supremacist, FBI Director Kash Patel. FBI Director Kash Patel, you should be so proud. You should be so proud of FBI Director Kash Patel because he framed. He caught the guy. He caught the alleged shooter of Charlie Kirk, the white supremacist who assassinated Charlie Kirk because Charlie Kirk was best friends with Candace Owens. The white supremacist shooter, the alleged white supremacist assassin, the alleged white supremacist Fed, like, you know what I mean? Like, whoever, I'm just saying, of course, that FBI Director Kash Patel, he put out a bullshit story. Now he's turning around and saying, oh yeah, I just noticed Kash Patel just noticed, like, Kash Patel, FBI Director Kash Patel, puts out a bullshit story that everyone debunks and clearly pokes holes in the story. Then Kash Patel, like a true sociopath, then Kash Patel, FBI Director Kash Patel, then FBI Director Kash Patel, like a true sociopath, turns around and rather than admits that, yeah, he put out a BS story that was clearly had holes in it, rather than FBI Director Kash Patel admitting that he put out a BS story and he's clearly in on it behind the Charlie Kirk assassination, he, like a true sociopath, FBI Director Kash Patel turns around and says, oh, he just noticed there's holes in this story. Really? Come on. Really? You're the director of the FBI and you put out a story that has holes in it? That alone, you should be fired. That alone, you should go back to the Quickie Mart. Actually, no, sorry. I wouldn't even trust you at the Quickie Mart. because I saw that Simpsons episode, and I saw, I saw when they were taking hot dogs off the floor, and putting them and reselling them, and I saw that Quickie Mart episode with the Simpsons where Homer got food poisoning from all the food that was all the horrible food at the Quickie Mart that gave Homer food poisoning. So no, I wouldn't trust you either to run the Quickie Mart. And I don't like the fact that when I was in Vancouver, downtown Vancouver, and I got jumped by a bunch of Indian thugs who called me white boy, and the Indian thugs, they stole my money and they beat me. I was only 23. I was 23 in downtown Vancouver, and I was jumped by several Indian immigrants who beat me and stole my money and then attacked me. And it happened so fast. It was happening within minutes. And they stole my money. Indian immigrants beat me. I'm a real Canadian. I'm a real Canadian. And I was beaten and attacked by Indian immigrants. And then when I go to the police to report that Indian immigrants had beat me and stole my money and attacked me, then they have the audacity to accuse me of being racist just because I pointed out the fact that the people who attacked me were Indians. Imagine not only being a victim and being attacked by Indian immigrants and being beaten up by Indian immigrants. Imagine not only being a victim and being attacked and then being humiliated. They steal your money, they beat you, they put you in the hospital, and then on top of it, you go and simply report what happened, and you just say the people who attacked you were Indians. And the next thing you know, the Indian police, the Indian Vancouver police, accuse you of being racist. Oh, how dare you accuse Indians of doing that? Or how dare you? Indians would never do that. Indian Vancouver police officers would never attack you. Indian immigrants would never attack you. Indians, they're a big gang. Indians are a big gang of people. They all protect each other. And how dare you, white man? How dare you, white man? It's like, how dare you, white man, accuse Indians of attacking you? Hey, hello, Mr. White Man. Would you like to pay $99 for people to remove the viruses on your computer that they put on your computer in the first place? Hey, why are all of these Indians scamming old white people? Isn't that racist? That's pretty racist. That's pretty racist when Indians are specifically doing telemarketing scams, trying to scam old white people out of their money. Do these Indians ever scam old Indians? Do Indian scammers ever try to scam old rich Indians out of their money? No. Indian scammers try to scam old elderly white people out of their money. Indian scammers specifically target elderly white people and try to scam elderly white people out of their retirement savings. That's not only awful, that's not only irreprehensible, that's not only an abomination, that's racist. Indian scammers, Indian telemarketers, specifically targeting elderly white people and scamming elderly white people out of their life savings. Are Indian scammers targeting elderly Indians out of their life savings? No, Indian scammers targeting elderly white people, specifically targeting white people for their race. That's anti-white racism. So Indians are the ones being racist. They're the ones being racist towards white people, anti-white racism. Just like the Indians that attacked me, stole my money, beat me. And then also years later, my mother has the audacity to bring my dog, my Pomeranian, to an Indian veterinarian who wears a turban. My mother decides that it's a good idea to take my Pomeranian to a cheaper veterinarian. And my mother decides to bring my Pomeranian to an Indian veterinarian immigrant, an Indian veterinarian who wears a turban. And then sure enough, my Pomeranian immediately gets sick after going for what was supposed to be a general checkup with this Indian. I can't believe my mother would bring my Pomeranian, my dog, to an Indian veterinarian who wears a turban. And then of course, next thing you know, my dog was sick from whatever this Indian veterinarian, this incompetent or even malicious Indian veterinarian did to my Pomeranian, to whatever he did to Penelope. This Indian veterinarian, an Indian veterinarian who wears a turban, an Indian veterinarian who wears a turban. My mother actually thought it was a good idea to bring our dog, our Pomeranian, to an Indian immigrant veterinarian who wears a turban, and next thing you know, our dog gets sick from what the Indian veterinarian did. And this whole veterinary clinic that my mother decided to bring our dog to was a diverse, very diverse veterinary clinic with thuggies, with all types of, Indians and everything. Very diverse. So, and then of course there's all of these student protests in Canada, all of these Indian immigrants, they throw garbage at white people. Like it's not all our fault that you're being deported. It's not all our fault that the Canadian government is finally deporting people and deporting people back to India. It's not all our fault. So white people will be walking down the streets in Vancouver and other cities with lots of Indians. In Vancouver and other cities with lots of Indians, white people will be walking down the street, and these Indian protesters will throw garbage at innocent white people who had nothing to do with the deportations of Indians back to India. That's racist. That's racist. Indians throwing garbage at innocent white people who had nothing to do with the deportations of Indians back to India. That's Indians being racist towards white people. So this conversation got a bit sidetracked. But anyways, I made the point. I made the point clear. I sorry I got derailed the conversation. I'm gonna go quickly the comments, then I'll wrap up the live stream. Marie Antoinette came in and said, no, it's not valid. Crazy is crazy. Where there's a will, there's a way. I'm surprised that you find this unbelievable where there's more unbelievable things that have happened before. Okay, Marie, thank you for your comment. A guy named Tyler came in, and Tyler said he didn't assemble the rifle. He wrapped it in a towel. Okay, thank you, Tyler, for your comment. John came in. John said, folks, we have us an idiot here. Oh, okay, thanks for calling me an idiot, John. Okay. Patrick came in and said, what a moron. I don't know what you're saying. Wait, who are you saying is a moron? And same with actually John. Maybe John wasn't calling me an idiot. Maybe John was calling someone else an idiot. So, because it's very possible that John could have been arguing with someone in the chat, right? In the comments, he could have been arguing with someone else. So sorry, John. I don't know I don't know if you called me an idiot, but whatever. Thank you for your comment. I don't care if you call me an idiot. You have the right to have your opinion. You have the right to disagree with me. This is a discussion. It's a valid discussion. This is a discussion. So I expect people to disagree with me in a discussion. If people just all they did was if all people did was agree with me in a discussion, then it wouldn't be a discussion, right? So no, I actually encourage people to discuss it with me and provide different points of view. I encourage different points of view, and I'm totally fine if people want to disagree with me and call me an idiot. But I'm not even sure if John was calling me an idiot directly. He might have been calling someone else an idiot, and same with Patrick, who might have Patrick might have been calling someone else a moron. So your Huckleberry came in and said, I'm not reading every comment because I don't have time to read every comment. I like to read about half the comments at least. I try to read at least half the comments. Of course, if I read every comment, I'd be here forever. But I like to read comments from many different types of people. So I like to find interesting comments and read them out. So I'm sorry if I didn't read everyone's comment, but your Huckleberry came in and said it wasn't Tyler, it was the Jews. Charlie disavowed his Jewish donors who were blackmailing him and changed his views on the genocide, aka ethnic cleansing, in Gaza. So, what do you all think about the fact that Nancy Grace would be coming out so hard to defend the feds, to defend the American feds? Nancy Grace would be coming out so hard, so with such why is my English not so for some reason I'm not able to speak as good English today. I mean, I could speak all these languages. I could speak Russian, I could speak German, I could speak a bit of Arabic, but today suddenly my native language of English, it's hard to speak. I don't know why. Anyways, what do you guys think about the fact that Nancy Grace would be so viciously, so determined to defend the American feds and then also admit, and Nancy Grace admitted that even she used to be an American fed, and then Nancy Grace would be so determined to portray Candace Owens as a crazy conspiracy theorist? Hey, Nancy Grace, did you not see how much traction Candace Owens is getting with her YouTube channel? Candace Owens is really convincing people that the American feds are in on it and guilty. So, Nancy Grace, it might not be the best time for you to admit that you used to be an American fed yourself. Hey, Nancy Grace, do you want to hire a public relations officer? Because right now I just work at a bookstore and I make minimum wage. I make minimum wage at a bookstore, and I have a degree in marketing. I have a degree in marketing and public relations, Nancy Grace. So I just work at a bookstore right now, and I make minimum wage. But Nancy Grace, if you want to hire a public relations officer, then I'd be glad to help you out and tell you common sense that when Candace Owens is exposing the American feds for the liars they are, it might not be the smartest thing. It might not be the smartest thing, Nancy Grace, to come out and not only then viciously attack Candace Owens with and insinuate she's a crazy conspiracy theorist, but then also Nancy Grace to admit that she used to be an American fed herself. Not the smartest public relations move, Nancy Grace. So, anyways, if you want to hire me, no, I have a degree in marketing and public relations, but I got the degree like right out of college, or right out of high school. When I finished high school, I went straight to get a degree in marketing and public relations. It's not even what I want to study. I want to take science and mathematics. I'm a science and mathematics person, but someone else, someone close to me persuaded me to go to business school. Someone close to me persuaded me to go to business school, so I went to business school. But I prefer to have taken math and science because I'm really a math person. I'm a mathematician. I'm a scientist at heart. So, but I do have a degree and a background in marketing and public relations. And Nancy Grace, like I'm telling you, Candace Owens, she's gaining a lot of traction. Candace Owens is convincing a lot of people, persuading people that the American feds are guilty and in on it, etc. And then it's not the smartest move, Nancy Grace, to then come out and viciously attack Candace Owens and insinuate she's a crazy conspiracy theorist. And then on top of it, for Nancy Grace to admit that she used to be an American fed herself. Not the brightest public relations move on Nancy Grace's part. So I don't know if Nancy Grace has a public relations team, but they're not doing their job. They're not doing a very good job right now. Okay. I could do a better job in public relations for Nancy Grace, and my public relations marketing degree is like from 10 years ago when I was in my 20s. So I'm in my 30s right now, currently in my 30s. So I do also speak fluent Russian. I studied science, mathematics for years. I studied chemistry, biology. I studied chemistry, biology. I can't, for some reason, my English is not, I can speak Russian, Arabic, a bit of German, but today, for some reason, I'm not able to speak English as well. I studied chemistry, biology, physics for many years. I studied immunology. I studied microbiology. I studied nanotechnology. Studied neuroscience. I studied all types of sciences. I love science. I love mathematics. I love mathematics. I love differential equations, fractals, parabolas, chi-square. I love multivariable calculus, algebra, advanced algebra. I love doing trigonometry. I love trigonometry. I do trigonometry for fun. I'm obsessed with angles and geometry. I love not angels. Of course, angels. I love angels too. But angles, I love to look at angles, different angles, all types of angles, geometry, geometric patterns, geometric sequences. I love patterns. I'm really big into patterns, fractals, patterns, number patterns, geometric sequences, visual patterns, spatial patterns, geometric sequences, number patterns, spatial patterns, even patterns. I see patterns in Hollywood movies. I see hidden messages. I see hidden codes. I see patterns in the English language. I see patterns in language. I'm able to do cryptography. I like cryptography, and I like also looking for hidden secret coded messages in the English language and in books and novels. I read lots of novels. I read the Dan Brown novels. I like the Dan Brown novels. I also read novels by Sarah Paretsky. Read novels by Tammy Hogue. I read novels by Lisa Jewell. I read novels by Daniel Steele, even. I read all types of novels. I like to read novels. And I read novels by Stella Rimington, who was a famous author of spy novels, espionage novels. I read novels by Oleg Steinberg. I read novels by many different people. Dan Brown, especially Dan Brown, The Da Vinci Code, Angels and Demons, Inferno, The Lost Symbol, which is all about Freemasons and a Freemasons conspiracy. The Lost Symbol, Angels and Demons, Deception Point, Inferno, The Da Vinci Code, Origins, which is a newer book by Dan Brown, Origins, and Digital Fortress, the only book I haven't read yet, of course, is Digital Fortress. And also, Dan Brown has a new book, which I just bought, and I'm on the second chapter. And Dan Brown's new novel is called The Secret of Secrets. What a perfect title. I am only on the second chapter, but The Secrets of Secrets, Dan Brown's newest novel called The Secrets of Secrets. It's of course it's going to be some big. Dan Brown he doesn't write Harry Potter. Like, it's not nonsense like Harry Potter. Dan Brown doesn't write like nonsensical Harry Potter novels. Dan Brown does very well researched novels that it is a fictional story, but within the fictional story, he weaves in scientific facts. He weaves in historical facts. He talks about real organizations like the Freemasons, the Illuminati, the Scientology, Wicca, witches, the Russian mafia, the Chinese mafia, the CCP. Well, he hasn't actually. No, has he ever talked about the Chinese mafia or the CCP yet? I know he's talking about Russian mafia. I know he's talking about Russians. There was Deception Point. In the Deception Point, Dan Brown talks about Russians and the Russian mafia. And he's also talked about, of course, Islam. He's talked about Judaism. He's talked about Christianity, Catholicism, Freemasons, anyone else I'm missing? Buddhism, yes, Buddhism, Enlightenment, and Buddha, the Temple of Light, Buddhism, and Dan Brown. He's also talked about scientists, NASA. There was a whole NASA conspiracy with the National Aeronautic Space Administration. I was so excited and happy to see the National Aeronautic Space. Well, of course, it was part of his conspiracy. Of course, he didn't make NASA look very good. Dan Brown kind of exposed NASA a bit, the National Aeronautic Space Administration. But I was in Deception Point, Dan Brown's novel Deception Point. I was so happy and excited in Dan Brown's novel Deception Point to see a whole conspiracy about NASA, the National Aeronautic Space Administration. So there was a whole conspiracy about NASA and politics. There was a political scandal in Deception Point. Talked about the Russian mafia. Talked about Freemasons and the Dan Brown's novel called The Lost Symbol. He even talked about bioterrorism in Inferno, which is all about a bioterrorist who believed that the Earth was overpopulated, and then he did a virus to sterilize half the planet. So in Inferno, in Dan Brown's novel Inferno, it's all about a bioterrorist who believes the Earth's overpopulated, and that overpopulation of the Earth will lead to a disaster for humanity. And then the bioterrorist in Dan Brown's novel Inferno, in Dan Brown's novel Inferno, the bioterrorist then creates a virus to sterilize half of the planet Earth, because the bioterrorist believed that overpopulation of the planet would lead to a major disaster for humanity. So it's basically like a big purge. In Dan Brown's novel Inferno, the bioscientist, the bioterrorist, believed that Earth's population was doomed because it was overpopulated, and overpopulation of Earth would lead to a major disaster on planet Earth. And therefore, the bioterrorist in Dan Brown's novel Inferno, he sterilized half the planet with a virus. And did you notice actually how there's so many American couples who are finding themselves sterile? So many Canadian couples finding themselves sterile. But then if you go to India or China and India don't have a problem with sterilization. And Russia, China, India, they don't have a problem with sterilization. They're constantly having offspring in China, Russia, and India. China, and Russia and India, their populations are out of control. In China, Russia, and India, they're constantly having, And Russia, China, and India, their populations are out of control. They're constantly having offspring. Why aren't they sterile? Why aren't Chinese people sterile? Why aren't they sterile? Why aren't Indians sterile? Why aren't Russians sterile? You noticed how China doesn't have a problem with sterilization. China doesn't have a problem with their people being sterilized. India doesn't have a problem with sterilization. Russia doesn't have a problem with sterilization. But then you notice all of these American couples and Canadian couples, they're finding themselves to become sterile and they can't have offspring. How did that happen? How did that happen? In that Dan Brown's novel, The Inferno, with the bioterrorist, was that bioterrorist from Eastern countries like Russia, India, or China? Because how do you explain that Russia, India, and China, they have no problem having offspring? Russia, China, and India, their people have no problem with sterilization. Their people are definitely not sterilized because Russia, China, India, their populations are out of control. India has what? A population of what? 2 billion. China has what? Population of 2 billion. Russia has a large population as well. So they don't have a problem with sterilization in Russia, China, or India. But then how do you explain that in Canada and the United States, all of these American couples and Canadian couples are finding themselves to be sterile? How do you explain that one? That doesn't make any sense. Nancy Grace, hey Nancy Grace, and rather than ragging on Candace Owens, hey Nancy Grace, former American Fed, who might even be Russian, who knows, Nancy Grace. Hey Nancy Grace, former American Fed, who may or may not be Russian. I didn't say she was. She may also be Chinese, who knows, right? Hey American Fed Nancy Grace, who used to be an American Fed, who admitted on her show, Nancy Grace admitted on her show she used to be an American Fed. Hey Nancy Grace, instead of ragging on Candace Owens, who's legitimately trying to find and uncover and find and expose the American Feds and find the real assassin of Charlie Kirk. Hey Nancy Grace, instead of ragging on Candace Owens, Nancy Grace, why don't you investigate why Canada and America has a big sterilization problem where American couples and Canadian couples are finding themselves to be sterile, but meanwhile in India and China and Russia, they don't have a problem with sterilization at all, and their populations are out of control. India, China, Russia, their populations are out of control, but then Americans and Canadians are finding themselves sterile. Hey, Nancy Grace, why don't you investigate that? Rather than ragging on Candace Owens and insinuating that Candace Owens is some crazy conspiracy theorist. And then of course Nancy Grace comes out and defends the American Feds, and Nancy Grace even admits she used to be an American Fed herself, and then Nancy Grace defends the American Feds. So Nancy Grace, maybe you should investigate that. Investigate Russia, China, India, and why they don't have a problem with sterilization. Their populations are out of control, but then meanwhile Canadians and Americans are constantly finding themselves to become sterile. Explain that one, Nancy Grace. Maybe you should investigate that rather than Nancy Grace ragging on Candace Owens because, Candace Owens is onto something. Candace Owens is exposing the American Feds for being liars. And perhaps Nancy Grace really does have a problem with Candace Owens because Nancy Grace doesn't like sisters. You know what I mean? So, anyways, I'm really sick. I'm really annoyed. I'm really annoyed with people who try to derail serious investigations. Like Candace Owens is trying to really conduct a serious investigation into the assassination of Charlie Kirk and discover who really is behind the assassination of Charlie Kirk. Candace Owens really is trying to expose the American Feds for the liars they are, expose FBI Director Kash Patel for the liar that he is and the sociopath. I believe that FBI Director Kash Patel is a lying sociopath. I believe that FBI Director Kash Patel is a lying sociopath. I believe he was in on it with the Charlie Kirk assassination. I believe that Indian Director Kash Patel, the FBI Director Kash Patel, I believe that he doesn't like white supremacists, and I don't think Charlie Kirk was a white supremacist. I don't think at all. But I believe that FBI Director Kash Patel believed that Charlie Kirk was a white supremacist, and that was FBI Director Kash Patel's motive to take Charlie Kirk out. So I don't think Charlie Kirk was a white supremacist, but what I think is that FBI Director Kash Patel believed that Charlie Kirk was a white supremacist, and then FBI Director Kash Patel had Charlie Kirk taken out and assassinated. That's what I believe. That's my theory. Look at the source. Candace Owens is looking at this crazy story, this unbelievable story dished out by the American feds. Candace Owens is even admitting that the American feds are corrupt. Candace Owens is even admitting that the story that the American feds put out doesn't make sense. There's a bunch of lies there. There's a bunch of holes. And who's the head of the FBI? Who's the head of the American feds? Who's the head of the American feds? Who's the head of the FBI? FBI Director Kash Patel, who's clearly a lying sociopath. And then Kash Patel, rather than admit that he's a liar, rather than admit that the story that he put out doesn't make sense, then FBI Director Kash Patel, like a true sociopath he is, turns around and says, oh, he just noticed there's holes in the story. You're the one who put out the story. The fact that FBI Director Kash Patel would put out a story with holes in it in the first place, why are you the director of the FBI, Kash Patel? Why? Was it a DEI? Was Kash Patel a DEI pick? Seems like it. It seems like FBI Director Kash Patel was a DEI hire. And he's a sociopath. It seems to me like FBI Director Kash Patel is a lying sociopath and he was a DEI hire. Because he put out a story which is totally unbelievable. Candace Owens is easily picking apart. Candace Owens is easily picking apart the American Feds story and exposing the American Feds for the liars they are. And then FBI Director Kash Patel, rather than admit he's a lying sociopath, he doubles down on his sociopathism. And FBI Director Kash Patel, he turns around and says, oh, he just noticed there's holes in the story that he put out. Kash Patel, and FBI Director Kash Patel notices there's holes in a story that he put out in the first place. Then he tries to look like the hero. Then FBI Director, probably a DEI hire. Then FBI Director Kash Patel, probably a diversity, equity, and inclusion hire, DEI hire. Then FBI Director Kash Patel turns around and doubles down on the fact he's a lying sociopath. And rather than admit that he put out an unbelievable story about and then rather than FBI Director Kash Patel admit that he's a lying sociopath and he put out an unbelievable story, which was easily debunked by Candace Owens, FBI Director Kash Patel doubles down and goes full sociopath, and then turns around and is like, oh, he just noticed there's holes in the story that he put out. And he's trying to pretend like he's the hero. Then FBI Director Kash Patel is trying to pretend like he's the hero. And Nancy Grace comes in with her assist, with her support for the American feds. And Nancy Grace tries to portray Candace Owens like a crazy conspiracy theorist. And then Nancy Grace even admits that she used to be an American fed herself. Interesting, huh? So let's play more of Nancy Grace quickly, and then we'll actually, there's something else she said too, which I want to comment on. I don't know if it's in the next 2 minutes, but we'll see. It shouldn't be much longer. So for anyone watching, by the way, if you want to see the video, this is the video I'm referencing. This is the title of Nancy Grace's video. So you can even watch it yourself afterwards if you want to see the full Nancy Grace video. So I'm not trying to promote Nancy Grace. I'm just trying to analyze what Nancy Grace, who claimed to be a former American Fed, I'm just trying to analyze what she's saying. So I'm not trying to promote her or anything, but.
Said, I'm very, very curious. Straight back out to Sky Lazaro joining a trial lawyer in both the state and federal criminal systems. That is a really long stretch to claim, hey, the defendant would never put so many details in his text. BS, yes, they would, because they're not that smart, Sky. Why do you think the federal and the state jails are so full? Because they're idiots.
I wish none of my clients ever wrote anything down, but that is not the reality.
Okay, you're supposed to be, honey, a criminal defense lawyer defending innocent people. First off, this is why so many innocent people are framed. This is why so many innocent people go to prison for crimes committed by the American feds, because of corrupt criminal defense lawyers. Look at that smile. Look at that smirk. You know, they try to take mugshots of innocent people, and they try to, the judges try to look at mugshots of innocent people. And just because someone who, like that person in the mugshot could be smiling because they could be like, I'm going to sue you, right? Someone who was wrongfully arrested by the American police, an innocent person who was wrongfully arrested by the American police, could be smiling in the mugshot because the smile is like, I'm gonna get justice. I'm gonna sue you. I'm gonna sue your asses for what you did to me, right? But then the American judge takes the mugshot and takes the picture of the person allegedly smiling. And also, the person could be smiling because they spent 7, 8 hours in a cell crying. Next thing you know, the American police tell the innocent Canadian, "Oh, we're gonna release you now." Then you would smile, right? If you're an innocent Canadian who was put in American prison accused of being a Canadian spy, now that's paranoid. Accusing Canadians of being spies, that's paranoid. Why would Canadians want to spy on Americans? Now that's paranoid. So American police taking an innocent Canadian and accusing him of being a Canadian spy, and then he's in a cell for 7, 8 hours crying, and then finally the American police say, okay, we're gonna release you. Then that would make the person smile, and then they take a mugshot when the person's smiling. It's perfect. And I didn't. Anyways, so and by the way, just so you know, I was innocent. All the charges eventually against me were dropped. All the charges against me were dropped, but I was released initially, and then I was arrested again when I tried to sue the Ohio police. When I tried to sue the Ohio police for what they did to me, they tasered me, they beat me, they humiliated me, they strip searched me, they beat me. The Ohio police, they beat me, they stole my money, they stole my Canadian tourist money. They called me a homophobic slur. The American police, the Ohio police, they attacked me, they beat me, they stole my Canadian tourist money. They tasered me for like a minute, which could have caused heart problems. I could have like permanent heart problems from being tasered for being a minute. I would never been tasered before in my life. And I've never been put in prison before in my life until I went to Ohio, the United States. The American police, the Ohio police, they tasered me, they attacked me, they beat me. And then they also had the audacity to insinuate that I must be some Canadian spy just because I had all these blueprints and scientific. I'm a scientist. I'm a scientist mathematician, okay? And just because I had these novels with like the secret language, like because I wrote a secret language, a secret coded language. I wrote a secret coded language to protect my scientific ideas, my mathematical ideas, my scientific discoveries, my ideas, and also even private ideas, because I also use the secret coded language to encrypt. I also use the secret coded language to encrypt my personal diary, my personal thoughts, my personal journal, my personal etc. So everything, scientific studies, mathematical observations, personal journal. I use the secret coded language to decrypt, to encrypt all of it. And then the American police, they threw all of these bogus accusations at me, which are not true. They're thugs. They stole my money. The Ohio police stole my Canadian tourist money. They called me a homophobic slur. They tasered me. They attacked me. They strip searched me. They laughed at my naked body. They humiliated me. The American police, the police from Ohio, the Ohio police. And then a Jewish lawyer who says he's going to defend me, and I didn't agree for him to represent me at all. And I screamed in the courtroom that I want to be self-represented because I didn't trust him from the beginning. The Jewish lawyer who's supposed to be defending me, the Jewish lawyer says, my client who's from Canada is crazy. What? I said innocent. I said innocent. You fat Jewish liar. Fat lying Jewish lawyer. I told you 100 times that I am pleading innocent. And if you just show the body cam footage, it would show that the Ohio police attacked me. And the Ohio police are the ones who should be in prison, not an innocent Canadian tourist from Canada who just likes to go to visit museums in Ohio. So a fat Jewish lawyer named Stephen Groth, even though after I told him many times I'm innocent and I'm pleading innocent, and then even when he said that I was crazy in the courtroom, I even yelled and I even said I'm pleading innocent, innocent. And I said it a million times, innocent. Well, I said it, I didn't say it literally a million times, I said a lot of times. I said a lot of times I'm innocent, I screamed I'm innocent many times. And then the fat Jewish lawyer Stephen Groth, even though I told him I'm innocent, he decides to call me crazy in court. a corrupt Jewish criminal defense lawyer. And I didn't consent for him to represent me at all. In fact, I even, as soon as he came and said he was going to represent me, I said, no, I'm self-represented. I want to be self-represented. And then he says, oh, they won't let you be self-represented because they say you're crazy. They say they don't allow crazy people to be self-represented. What? That doesn't make any sense. Everyone has the right to be self-represented. Lying Jew, a lying fat Jewish lawyer, Stephen Groth, and Israel, and Benjamin Netanyahu. Benjamin Netanyahu is clearly another lying sociopathic Jewish man, liar. Anyways, I need to stop talking about you know who, or else they might try to. Anyways, but Candace Owens just did a video where she showed Benjamin Netanyahu. He's trying to censor Americans. Apparently, he's trying to take Americans' free speech away. The Israeli prime minister is the Israeli president. So let's play more of this. So she does look kind of crazy. Look at that. That's a crazy smile right there. If anyone has a crazy smile, that's that.
No, it's not. And also, let's talk about this. To Tracy Brown joining us. You guys know Tracy very well. Body language expert and author of How to Detect Lies, Fraud, and Identity Theft. She's bodylanguagetrainer.com. Tracy, please, when you think that you are texting with your romantic partner, you say a lot more than you would say to other people, right?
I think you do, because there's a very deep trust there, I would say. One of the things that concerned me when I saw this was the perfect punctuation and capitalization, and it didn't seem age appropriate to me. So either he's so smart that he's not tuned into his generation, or something else has taken over. It's very odd.
Put her up. Just so you know, Tracy, both of my twins text nonstop to me, and the punctuation is always perfect.
Do they really?
Yeah, because they're probably afraid of you, because you're a nut job, and of course, of course, they're not going to, you know, with a real Nazi, a real live Nazi who used to be an American Fed. Of course, they're not going to dare put a spelling mistake when they're texting their grandmother, their crazy Nazi grandmother. Of course they're not going to dare put a spelling mistake when they're texting their crazy clannish grandmother, Nancy Grace. Of course they're not going to put a spelling mistake. They're not going to dare putting a spelling mistake when they're texting their crazy clannish grandmother, Nancy Grace. So yeah, okay, I could see why they'd be too scared to have a spelling mistake with you.
Oh, wow. Okay. All
Yes,
right.
really.
Yes, really.
So,
Yeah.
reality check.
I don't trust you, Nancy Grace. You used to be an American Fed, and you outed yourself when you said that. And I don't trust you, Nancy Grace. And I suggest everyone go make up your own opinions. Go watch the Nancy Grace show yourself. Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe Nancy Grace is right. Maybe Candace Owens is wrong. But I don't believe it. I don't. I do. In my opinion, I think Candace Owens is right. I think Candace Owens is right. I think the American Feds are liars. I think Nancy Grace is wrong. That's my opinion. But, you know, I could be wrong. So I encourage everyone to go yourself, do your own investigation, go watch Nancy Grace yourself, go watch Candace Owens yourself, go watch Tucker Carlson yourself. And I just recommend watching Tucker Carlson in general, because Tucker Carlson, he's just such a funny, brilliant guy. Tucker Carlson is just so smart and funny and educated. And so I recommend you watch Tucker Carlson, and generally speaking anyways. But I recommend everyone, just for yourself, go watch Nancy Grace for yourself, go watch Candace Owens for yourself, make up your own mind, okay? But just look at the facts. And also, the fact that Nancy Grace admitted that she used to be an American Fed, I mean, she's definitely biased. You have to admit she's biased in this case, and she's clearly coming to defend her American Feds who put out a bogus story, which is easily being picked apart. A bogus story, which is easily being picked apart by Candace Owens. So anyways, I hope Candace Owens calls out Nancy Grace tomorrow. I hope tomorrow, that would be really actually interesting if tomorrow Candace Owens calls out Nancy Grace on her show, because Nancy Grace, who admitted to being a former Fed, that's a big deal. Nancy Grace admitting to being a former Fed, and then Nancy Grace insinuating that Candace Owens is a crazy conspiracy theorist, and then Nancy Grace defending this horrible story. And then the fact, which I pointed out, which that Nancy Grace, you're saying, oh, it's just another case of a dumb criminal writing incriminating text messages. The assassin who assassinated Charlie Kirk pulled off a military level intelligence assassination plot. That is not a dumb person. Whoever is the assassin of Charlie Kirk had military level intelligence training, pulled out a military level intelligence operation, assassination. So we're not talking about a dumb criminal here. Whoever is the assassin of Charlie Kirk, it was not a dumb person. They pulled off a military level style assassination of a major political figure. You know how hard it is for someone to get on a roof, to get past the Charlie Kirk security, get past Utah security, go on the roof unnoticed for so long, pull off a perfect shot, pull the exact timing, the exact right timing, pull off a perfect shot, assassinate Charlie Kirk, and then disassemble, reassemble, run, get away with in time. Like that's military level intelligence operation. So an assassin who could commit a military level intelligence operation and pull it off, like this assassin did, would not be stupid enough to then incriminate themselves in text messages, putting it right in the lap of the FBI director, Kash Patel. Okay? So Nancy Grace, I know you're smarter than that, and I know even you are smarter than that, Nancy Grace. So what are you hiding, Nancy Grace? Why are you trying to protect the American feds? Obviously, Nancy Grace admitted she used to be an American fed, which is suspect, which makes me suspect Nancy Grace now after she said that. So I just encourage everyone, make up your own mind. Go watch Nancy Grace yourself. Go watch Candace Owens yourself. Go watch Tucker Carlson too, because he's just so funny. And just, make up your own minds, okay? Make up your own minds. And I'm the first one to encourage free speech. I defend free speech. And also, let me once again say, I supported Charlie Kirk. I defended Charlie Kirk. I'm a conservative Canadian. Not all Canadians are liberals. I'm a conservative Canadian. I support free speech. I defend free speech. And it's so awful. And I'm still shocked and so saddened that Charlie Kirk was assassinated over his freedom of speech. Nobody should ever be assassinated over their freedom of speech. And it's so awful what happened to Charlie Kirk. So I'm against what happened to Charlie Kirk. I was definitely for Charlie Kirk. I supported Charlie Kirk. I'm a conservative Canadian. And I support all the conservatives. I support Candace Owens. I support Trish Reagan. I support Megyn Kelly, although Megyn Kelly is acting as a suspect right now. I support Tucker Carlson. I support J.D. Vance and Trump. I support all the conservatives. I'm a conservative Canadian, and I watch all the conservative Canadians. And I encourage everyone now to go and watch yourself, watch Nancy Grace yourself, watch Candace Owens yourself, watch Tucker Carlson yourself, and make up your own mind and come to your own conclusion. But keep in mind that the American feds, if anyone has a history of being crazy and being crazy liars, it's the American feds. If anyone has no credibility, it's the American feds. The American feds are the ones that have no credibility. After the JFK, after how they lied about JFK, it took them 70 years to release the JFK files. After they lied about the Epstein files, after they mishandled the Epstein case, after even the moon landing, even people suggest that the 1970s moon landing with NASA was fake. Even people suggest the American moon landing was fake in the 1970s. So the American government could win the Guinness World Record for most lies told by a government. The American government, the United States government, could win the Guinness World Record for most lies told by an American government. What does that tell you? So if anyone has no credibility, if anyone's crazy, if anyone has a history of being crazy and has no credibility, it's the American feds. It's the American government. The American government has no credibility. The American government has a history of saying crazy things. The American government has a history of saying crazy things. The American government has no credibility. The American feds have a history of lying. If anyone has a history of being a liar, it's the American feds. And the fact that Nancy Grace admitted that she used to be an American fed, not a smart move in my opinion. Not a smart move in my opinion. But anyways, everyone go make up your own mind. Go watch Nancy Grace. Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe Nancy Grace is right, but I don't believe so. So everyone, I encourage everyone to go watch Nancy Grace yourself. Go watch Candace Owens yourself. Think for yourselves. But if anyone has a history of being crazy, if anyone has a history of being a liar, it's the American feds. And the fact that it took them 70 years to release the JFK files, they messed up the Epstein case. Bill Clinton lied about boinking Monica Lewinsky. Bill Clinton, former president of America, lied about boinking Monica Lewinsky in the White House. They're liars. The American presidents are liars. George Bush lied about the weapons of mass destruction. Obama was even caught lying. There was that whole Tucker Carlson. Tucker Carlson exposed Obama for being gay. There was the man who allegedly slept with Obama. There's a man who claimed to have had an affair with Obama. So there's a man who claimed there was a man who went on the Tucker Carlson show and claimed to have an affair with Obama, former president of the United States. So clearly Obama lied about many things. Trump lied about many. Even Trump allegedly lied about things. Bill Clinton, Joe Biden. Joe Biden, who said he would never pardon Hunter Biden, and what did he do? Joe Biden, president of America, said he would never pardon Hunter Biden, and then look what he did. He pardoned Hunter Biden. So Joe Biden lied, Obama lied, George Bush lied, Bill Clinton lied, and Justin Trudeau, the Prime Minister of Canada, the biggest lying sociopath of all. I wouldn't be surprised if he was in on it and he had something to do with Charlie Kirk being assassinated. So even the Prime Minister of Canada, former Prime Minister of Canada, French-Canadian, Justin Trudeau, the Prime Minister of Canada, the guy who goes to transvestite parades and transgender parades and things, and Justin Trudeau, the former French-Canadian pervert, the French-Canadian pervert Justin Trudeau, the former Prime Minister of Canada, French-Canadian pervert Justin Trudeau, who thinks it's okay to have transvestite parades and transvestite school teachers, and then Justin Trudeau, the Prime Minister of Canada, and then he did blackface 3 times and lied about it. And trust me, Justin Trudeau, the Prime Minister of Canada, the French-Canadian Prime Minister of Canada, Justin Trudeau, the French-Canadian Prime Minister of Canada, Justin Trudeau, he did much more than just blackface, and he did much more than just blackface. Okay, I wouldn't be surprised actually if Nancy Grace went to several of Justin Trudeau's blackface parties. I wouldn't be surprised if if there's pictures somewhere of Nancy Grace in blackface. I wouldn't be surprised if Nancy Grace went to former French-Canadian Prime Minister Justin Trudeau's blackface parties. I would not be surprised, actually. Anyways, I've been talking for too long. I got to end the live stream right now. Thank you for watching. Spasiba za vнимание, do svidania. To my Russian audience, spasiba za vнимание, do svidania. Auf Wiedersehen. And that's it. It's tut mir leid. Auf Wiedersehen. I have to go. Menia para eti, menia para eti para сейчас. Spasiba za vнимание, do svidania.